Now, up in today's agenda is 8 things, and they are as follows. Let me go to them. They are Bob Dorian and his recommendation on Maximum Entertainment by Ken Weber. And in the same first section, the ums, uhs, and okays, and trying to remove them in your actual performance. Taking fire to the streets. I should actually, before I even get into that, this whole lecture, the whole theme of this lecture is on covering what I learned at the Magic Castle Junior program. Because really, if you weren't able to make the Magic Castle Junior program, if you weren't able to audition or anything of that nature, I wanted you to be able to have that knowledge of what would have been the program and the main things you were supposed to learn. These are very, very important, cannot be disregarded, and I just, these are essential. Like if you never got to go to the Magic Castle and you just want to get the experience and you want to have all these huge takeaways that could just make you a better performer, never having been to the castle, you're too old to go to the Magic Castle Junior program to improve. These are important 8 things. So again, I'll go back into them. Bob Dorian is Maximum Entertainment Recommendation by Ken Weber. Great book, and we'll get into that why. As well as the ums, uhs, and okays, and trying to remove them in your actual performance. That is one. Another is Taking Fire to the Streets and Leaving It There. Number 3, it's always more magical in the spectator's hands. Additionally, in most cases, the more powerful the trick is because the more hands-off you are. Number 4, avoid excessive advanced techniques, and we'll get into why in a bit. Number 5, the criticism will be harsh at the castle, so bring a notepad, and we'll go into a little bit of that why. Plus, why Bob Dorian hated my fedora, this exact one. And he hated it with a passion. Lord rest his soul. Number 6, everything must be logical and motivated. Number 7, eliminate flashpoints and a new idea on angle issues. Taking a step, I'll explain that, and it might not be what you think. And my ideas as well as on running without being chased. And finally, why the Magic Castle audience is the worst. And I think it might be what you think. So a lot to cover. And today with us this evening is Kelly the Kid. Amazing. You can say hi, Kelly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
And tonight we have a great show for you. And it's not going to be so much tricks night. The tricks will actually be examples, per se, to the actual effects. Heal. Not sponsored. I just love Heal. And each one has a burning, like a very important thing to say about it. So let's hop right on into it. First is Bob Dorian's recommendation of Maximum Entertainment by Ken Weber. It is an excellent book. At first, and I'll be honest, he would always preach it when he was, mind you, he is rested his soul, he's passed away, whether it be from the pandemic or whatever reason. But when he was, and I excuse my us, when he was alive, he would continually preach this book at every lecture, everywhere. And he would almost try to force it down our throats for us to read it. And us being juniors, we would try to rebel against him. I myself actually added a couple new rules to the rule book because I was very adventurous and rebellious in the castle. One of those rules being nearly hats. Nearly. But we'll go into that in a sec. So I actually picked up the book. It was like $40. I don't know if you can even find it nowadays. It's pretty expensive, like $80 to $120 nowadays. Or if you could find it on PDF form, like buy it, like from a real site like library or some actual magic dealership or whatever, it's worth it. At first I just bought the book and was to read it out of spite. Yeah, Bob Dorian, this book's, stinks. I'm saying that politely. It can't be that great. And so I bought it and I'm like, okay, how good is this thing? I'll read like 20 pages and throw it away. That was literally my honest opinion of the book before I even read it. So then I read the back cover. I'm like, okay, it seems pretty good. Read it. And as soon as I start reading, the guy Ken Weber is actually filled with love. He was just filled with love and passion, just wanted to give to the arts. And it was just a piece to be able to make us all better. And reading it, I read it from cover to cover twice already. I'm planning to read it a third time. Every time you get a new golden nugget from there. And it just has the four pillars. Yeah, I put 3. 4 pillars on how to make yourself a better performer in all these different aspects, keywords. And it says on the book, there's no tricks, but a lot of secrets. And they really do make you a better performer. And it's not limited to just magicians. It's for everyone. Something overall for everyone. It receives my highest recommendation of anything. I actually want to read it again. If I could only have like 5 magic books, that'd be one of them. Good thing before I gave my copy away to a friend, I actually scanned a copy for myself, just for my personal use. Don't sue me, bro. I'm safe there, not liable. But it's just one of my favorite books to make myself a better performer. And I encourage, even though Bob Dorian may not be able to pass it on, he passed on to me, even though he despised me, kind of. I go more with loathing me. I want to pass on the idea of the book for everyone. Find it, get it, and go make yourself a better performer through that book. There's like 3 or 4 aspects to make yourself a better performer. One is mechanics. That's only like a third of it. I'll say there's 3 parts. There might be more, but we'll focus on 3. One is the mechanics. Second is the behind the scenes and the deeper levels and structure and everything that makes a performance a good quality. And then the third is like the presentation, how you go about it and interacting with spectators and making it passionate. So those are the main qualities of that. And so again, I will again say it as Bob would relentlessly preach it. Go get the book, Maximum Entertainment by Ken Weber. I'm not being sponsored by this book or anything of that nature. I just really am passionate about the book as Bob was, even though I originally did it only out of spite. Now the next part is to try to remove all the ums, uhs, and okays. This was a major, major, major part of every Magic Castle critique, and they continually did it. If you even said 3 ums, 3 uhs, and 3 okays, or just anything around that variance, you were not likely to be let into the brunch program, or it would be heavily taken into consideration. They were that strict. They honestly were. They would call it out, and they say, like, if there were enough things to say about it, if you said 10 ums or 10 okays in a performance, you would likely not be considered. It was really that strict. And so it just takes away from the performance having to hear that, and someone who's cognizantly aware of all of your wording and from a higher diction or high level speaking, it just having to think about that, it just kind of slightly hurts the quality of performance. So I'm moving all of them, and I'm working on it myself, especially doing a live stream where this is not technically scripted. I'm just going off the passion and flow of my heart to everyone and giving to everyone. This is really important that you really consider not so much scripting, but just being aware and trying your hardest to remove it. And under every condition, you be able to make sure you don't say those ums, uhs, and okays to make your performance just a bit better. If you really think you're really good, then you shouldn't mind recording yourself. I know it hurts, and I know it hurts watching yourself in replay, but just doing it once and just being aware of under those conditions, listening to how many times you say ums, uhs, and okays, or being aware how you can make your performance a little bit better, but just by watching yourself can make it much better. And I'll be honest with you, I hated it. But when I actually did it, I realized it's not as bad as you think it is. It really just has to deal with self-confidence. So if you really are confident and you really want to become better, then you shouldn't mind taking a performance, taking notes, and seeing where you can make your performance just a little bit better. And ums, uhs, and okays are a great way to go about it. So section number 2, and this is one we tried to do on live stream, got messed up, but Kelly made some really, really good insights to that. And it's point number 2 being taking the fire to the streets and leaving it there. Now, I'll go back over the story. I was really passionate when I told it on the stream, but the problem was the mic wasn't on. So I'm laughing at myself for that. I'm kicking myself for that. So fire to the streets. Why is that? I mean, it should be common sense, but Magic Castle had such strict fire regulations. There was constantly the guy on site. He didn't trust people. He would constantly mention, "Are you sure there's no fire? There's not a single fire in your act." Because if there was and it wasn't properly managed, there have been many cases where the Magic Castle has nearly been set on fire, close been setting on fire, actually set on fire, which is another story altogether. And I will actually cover it in this section. I will cover it at the end. Please remind me, audience. Or, just every variance of those categories. And the thing was, it could just be from like cotton balls, like little cotton balls. And if the people are using cotton balls, their performance, they're doing some fire twirling or such section there, and they're using cotton balls, and a piece flies off, and it was lit on fire, it could fly off. All it has to do is touch a curtain, and everything gets set on fire. And there have been many cases with the Magic Castle, and I can tell you, like the host, the general manager, anyone can tell you of many near multiple fire stories, or especially the stage manager. He's seen his whole share full of it. So they have really strict fire regulations. So I'm even scared to light a candle, not even in the Magic Castle, in my own house, setting on fire, just because of my own stupidity. I'll just say that. I'll maybe do a scented, like those incense little sticks. Those are fine. But Kelly, you said it best. How would you say it, Kelly? With fire, keep fire to the streets. But you said it more wonderfully.
Fire belongs in hell.
Fire belongs in hell.
Is that what I said?
That was so great the way you were so passionate about it.
Oh, yeah,
fire belongs in hell.
Keep it in hell.
And keep it in hell, or keep it to the streets and leave it there. Fire, in this lecture and only in this context, fire is equivalent of the streets. Wow. Kidding. So, fire, I mean, it makes sense. Do fire in the streets. Do your little, coin trick with the lighter vanishing it, whatever, or do some little firewall thing. And great. In actual closed spaces, you don't want to set a house on fire. Should be common sense. It surprisingly isn't. And I should mention that if you do fire acts and it's not regulated, or you don't talk to the stage manager first and you do it, you might just be thrown out of the castle or not even considered for the audition because you didn't follow the fire rules. So something to keep in mind. So for section number 3 is it's always more magical in the spectator's hands. And this is a big point because, the worst, and I'm saying a lot, I'm aware. The worst of a performance, and I'm going to go from the worst to the most ideal of what the Magic House is trying to do. But I'm going to first show the worst. The worst would be this. Yeah, pack cards, spectators right there. And I've seen this from performers before, partially because they're nervous, partially for other reasons, but it looks like this. So I'm going to need your help. They go, okay. They're like all excited. Take a card. Similar to the David Blaine thing, but David Blaine has more structure to it. You got it? They memorize it. I'm not looking. Okay. You memorize the card? They go, yeah. They're like totally excited. Okay. I'm going to show you the card. We put it back. Okay. We're going to cut the pack. It is on bottom. They go, no. They're like so excited. This is on top. They go, no. Watch this. Name your card. They name it. There you go. Ta-da. That's literally how I've seen some magicians perform it. It makes me sick and nearly want to puke because it shows no level of performance or depth. They are not involving themselves. And because, being honest, these cards are just pieces of paper. What makes magic really magical that I learned from Albert Goshman in his book, The Magic of Gosh, I believe that was the title of the book, Magic of Gosh, by Albert Goshman, is that the magic is you. The magic is you. You put the emotion, you put the passion and everything that makes these cards come alive, that makes the coin tricks do it, that makes these pens vanish. And I can't even do pen vanishes, but you get the point. They make them come alive. You are the thing that brings life to these routines that are otherwise dead. Anyone can do these tricks, but you yourself your passion, your excitement for these tricks are what make them special, especially when you do your own material, like I do. So how do we add life to it? The point was to make it more magical in the spectator's hands. So I showed the worst part. Before we get to the Magic Castle suggestion, I first want to make one tip. And one tip is when you show the card, you don't want to just lay the cards down here and then show a card changed, because you would give an exit point for them to go to. It changed here, the B was here, and then it was here. So C, B, A is here, it was here, and then it must have been right here. So then you give spectators an out saying, wow, the card was right there. And you got to figure it out. Not that great. How do we make it better? One little tip. We first display a card, that's not it. Turn the pack down so they remove, and you change the point C. So in point A right here, you got here, and there's no point to go back to. Or put these in your pocket, okay? And that makes your performance just a bit better and not having to ruin the entire effect. How we make it a lot better, Magic Castle suggests one of the highest points involve your spectator. So, Kelly, if you may.
Oh, fun.
So, we're going to do the trick really quickly, and we're going to involve the spectator and give the whole thing a spectator involvement and really dive into the point. The magic is magical in the spectator's hands. So, Kelly, I want to do a very special trick for you.
All right, cool. Special trick.
Special trick. This is one I just invented today.
Seriously?
Yeah. Sounds lovely. So, cards can be shuffled. They can be shuffled by a spectator. If you want, you can cut them. Do whatever.
You invent tricks, you said?
Oh, yes. I invent my own material.
You want me to shuffle them?
Yeah. Could do whatever you like. I want to be fair, open, and honest to everyone.
I can't even figure out what I'm going to wear today, and you're inventing tricks.
I know. It's a struggle we all deal with.
I guess so.
Don't want people to think I'm using a shiner, so I'll put this in my pocket.
I don't even know what a shiner is.
So
Shiner box?
Yeah. So fun points since we're going on this, and this will be the third section before I have to pause the camera. Shiner is where you would have a phone right here, and as the dealer's dealing cards, you can be able to quickly see what the card is from the reflection.
Really?
It's crazy what people, the gamblers came up with, but you would have the phone right here, purposely start right here, so as the gambler deals out, you can briefly be able to see what the card is. I know this card's a 2 of hearts. I could do it.
See, I wouldn't even thought of that.
Yeah, it's crazy what gamble people come up with. So you go across, and I would know this is the 3 of hearts. I'm hoping it's not like a 4 of hearts. Okay, so we'll cut it again, and again, this is 8 of spades. Yeah, just through the shiner.
Oh.
Yeah, shiners. So
That's a good trick for me to use.
Right. This is why no one will play with me with cards.
Because you don't need shiners.
I don't need shiners.
You just got talent.
They won't even play with me, or they won't, or they would, but they say at no point during this game can you ever touch the cards.
Well, that's no fun.
Anyway.
How many friends do you have because of that rule?
I still have tons, but no one will play with me.
Mm.
So it hurts me emotionally.
We'll see after this trick.
Right? So the cards are shuffled. We're just going crazy.
Yep.
I thank you for helping to shuffle. And so, Kelly, I want to think. Do you have a particular favorite type of card?
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be the classic Ace of Spades or Queen of Hearts. But like 4, 7, whatever you like. What's your favorite?
I am going to do... Do I tell you?
Yeah, you could say it out loud. Doesn't matter.
The 10 of diamonds.
Oh, okay. Now, I've been using this pack extensively, so I'm not even sure if it's a full one, but we'll make it work. Here, I won't even use half the pack. I'll just toss it aside. So, you said 10 of diamonds?
Yeah.
Did you want to change it to 10 of hearts, or you're good with 10 of diamonds?
I'm going to stay with the diamonds. I like diamonds at the jewelry heist.
They say that diamonds are a woman's best friend, but I'm still not sure why.
Because they're expensive?
Yes, I don't know. You figure it out, audience. We're all pondering this.
We'll have the answer on our next episode.
So what we're going to do is I want you to envision your 10 of diamonds. So it doesn't have to necessarily be through a diamond card per se, but I just want you to envision it through different cards. So you want you to picture it. But I want to make it more powerful than that. So I actually want you to touch any card. It doesn't even have to be 10 of hearts. That'd be too easy, 10 of hearts.
So you're going to remove that.
Yeah, we're removing that one. But I want you to just point to one you kind of like, in particular, that kind of can also remind you. Or we'll just use it as a picture a picture frame to envision that 10 diamonds. So whatever you like. Yeah, I could even go back further. Whatever you feel like.
How about the 9 of diamonds?
9 diamonds?
Oh, but yeah.
Close. That works. Okay.
Right.
So I want you to envision it. It looks kind of close. Actually, just for the audience, let's do a contrast. Let's do a contrast like a black card.
Okay, Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades? Okay, we'll do Ace of Spades. It was going to be used somehow.
Okay.
So I want you to, on this Ace of Spades, I want you to envision that 10 of diamonds. I want you to envision it, imagine the beauty of it from front to back. I want you to just imagine this isn't the Ace of Spades, but it's actually the 10 of diamonds.
Okay.
And so it makes a clear picture of it for everyone. Now, are you left or right-handed?
Left-handed.
Left-handed. Okay, hold out your left hand very fairly. Okay, and actually want to be very fair as I set it down. Okay, I know you need the rest of the cards. I want to be very fair and hands off. Okay, now I just want you to vision it really, from even the back, imagine every detail of it. Because as I do with my spiritual stuff, if you manifest it and you really put your thoughts, energy, you put your full focus, you have a plan, and you put your full focus into it, amazing stuff can happen.
Do I flip it?
You go for it.
How is that possible?
Thank you.
Dan, ladies and gentlemen.
I will cover that trick in another section. And don't worry, we're both negative, so you don't have to worry. We got tested. But, and I thank you, Kelly.
I love that trick.
Oh, so great. And that trick was called, that we're going to cover tomorrow, it is called Just Imagine. With some inspiration from Garrett Thomas, from his quarter effect. I think it was Imagination? I believe so. Don't kill me. Don't sue me. So, in this essence, we were able to take a otherwise dead performance. Don't worry, it was close. We were able to take an otherwise dead performance and we brought life to it through engaging the spectator, involving them, really valuing their opinions, really building interaction, rapport with them. Yes, it takes longer, but hey, you're being paid by the hour. Why should it matter? Entertainment humor. So why really would it matter? Like, you may do less, but it's more interpersonal. It's not dead. It's not like you're forced to, by some part of your family, you're not dragged to everything and not get to really spend time and really get to enjoy what you really liked. Didn't get to really enjoy. You can actually spend time on what you really like and make it interpersonal. And this way, we made it more magical in spectator's hands. I was at the bare bones, what the Magic Castle is saying. If you put the card in their hand or involve their hand, that makes it better. It literally says making the spectator's hands. But expanding upon that context, involving them, interacting with them, making sure their opinion matters, makes all the difference. And through asking them opinions, really involving them, and really getting to imagine, it just makes the whole trick better. It just makes it more wonderful. And even if you have to do less tricks, so the audience comes out happy. They get to feel that they got to have an interactive show. It's not like they're just watching someone and just go, wow, okay, I'm watching. That was a cool trick you did. Wow, that was another cool trick you did. Dance, monkey, dance. And that's the epitome of the worst style of performance. I don't want to be someone who just tricks you, but I want it to be an engaging performance. I think ultimately that's what, I guess maybe it's only for my style because, everyone has their own style. Maybe you want to be a mentalist, maybe you want to be serious. But this is just one wonderful way of improving your performance. If at the bare roots, involving the spectator instead of just laying on the table, put it in their hand. So that is that, and yeah, that's section number 3. The other sections. Welcome everyone to section number 4 of our lecture tonight on what I learned from Magic Castle Junior Program is. Reminiscent of the SpongeBob episode where he was writing down, all he had to do to pass the boating school was to write down 10 words on what he learned in boating school was. And he was 3 words away and he was struggling. What I learned in boating school was blankety, blankety, blank. So it's kind of humorous. I'm a nerd. Deal with it. So in section number 4, give me 1 second. What we're going to cover is why we want to avoid excessive advanced techniques in a trick or routine. And we're going to use our example will be, let me see, Generation Extreme by Brian Tudor as a poster child example. Now, Bob Dorian himself, and I wrote down, Bob Dorian himself stated that difficult techniques just for the purpose of doing them, including them in your Magic Castle act and no other reason, and they're pretty unnecessary. I'm paraphrasing for obvious reasons, but he termed it baitings of the master techniques. Yeah, baitings of the master techniques. That is what he termed it. And I'm paraphrasing. I'll let you read in between the lines of what he actually said.
We got it.
And he said that quite openly and often to impressionable 13-year-olds. But you don't have to hate on him because he's, rest in peace. I'm trashing a dead man. I'm a horrible person. Am I a horrible person?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not. You're just educating us all.
There you go. On the truth of what actually happened in the castle. See? Don't sue me, bro. Can dead people sue you? I'm going to Google this. So, Brian Tudor, if you haven't watched his stuff, type in, if you want to have fun, you could pause this thing and go type in Generation Extreme by Brian Tudor. Don't worry, I'll wait. And there'll be and it's EX, not X, so Extreme. So Generation Extreme by Brian Tudor. And you'll eventually see a product listing by Penguin Magic. And you'd be surprised that Penguin Magic, first listed it because they're more about easy techniques, about getting you started and doing all those things. They're more involvement friendly. They have the product in stock, and it says a warning on there, their disclaimer in red writing. And I'm going to read it off exactly as follows. I copy-pasted it. It says, DVD warning. This is a Brian Tudor DVD warning. Don't buy this DVD. Almost no one can actually do the stuff you're about to see. It's aggressive, showy, complex, impossibly fast, and freakish. Once you master it, your spectators may only notice 1/10 of what they're supposed to see, and only 1/100th of what is actually happening. That's no way to live. Pick up a Svengali deck and be happy. That is literally, word for word, what they wrote in the advertisement, and then they listed it. They should have at least put a little saying disclaimer. They didn't even put a disclaimer. They just put in red writing and say, don't buy it. And there's people buying it, and then they start complaining the reviews. I'm like, what do you expect? And that disclaimer's been on there since the beginning. So I don't want to hear anything from people saying, well, they didn't put the disclaimer until after. No, they put that there, and they bought it willingly, and then they trashed the DVD, which is... what do you say when someone does something bad and they disclaim it's bad and they do it and then they complain it's bad? I know. I don't have words for that level of idiots, stupidity. There are questionable magicians of this world. I will just say that. And I mean, some of Brian Tudor's material is actually quite decent if he actually slowed it down and let people appreciate it. I'm not kidding. Some of his stuff is actually good, but if he slowed it down and actually made it impressionable, like from what I read in the reviews, it was literally... I'm doing a rant right now. I can't believe this. I'm doing on Brian. He has to deal with this. Like in the reviews, it was like, what was it? Like some of the techniques were really difficult, or they. Just the point is, we don't want to be that. We want to. The whole essence of magic is to remove techniques. They say by magic is the expressional term. So when you see a card change from one card to, let's say, another, and there was like no move to it, and it just magically changed, that'd be amazing. That's amazing that nothing happened, there was no moves, and it just changed by magic. And we want to try to remove the moves, so like from the audience view, or maybe misdirect occasionally where it's appropriate, to be able to give a full impression that it just happens, it's a free-flowing performance, and there's nothing to see. There's no moves. It's just you, the spectator, a moment, and a medium or tool which it happens in, and everything happens in the minds and the way we perceive it. Because the way the audience perceives it is different from the way a performer perceives it. But hopefully the magician would want to perceive it the same way. Like, in thought ideology and what they're trying to communicate. So it's the idea of trying to go for simpler occasionally where you can, strive for simplicity if the method allows or whatever, so you can get ultimately a happy effect. You don't want to do risky Dan and Dave material or things where it can fail, like a bad snap change, or it's a one-handed snap change where it fails and risk it looked at it on your audience. You would want something more reliable or something less difficult so they don't see anything and they get more better impression of magic. So instead of that, maybe like a wonderful twirl change, which I believe I covered in another video. I'm not sure. If I didn't, I'll cover it in a future video. But we want to encourage just a smooth piece where it seems like there's nothing. Ultimately, when I have been striving for this in my performances, but there was an individual at the end of my show who stated, and this happens a lot in my shows, I borrow a pack, it doesn't matter, or I use my own pack, and they say, those cards are rigged, let me look at them. And they just stare at them because they couldn't believe what happened offhandedly. That I just borrowed a pack, they shuffled it up, and I did the whole thing. They're so impressed that there was no moves, nothing they could see, that they had to find something in there. There had to be something. And then, as always is my nature, I give away the cards at the end. If they are really that magical as you perceive them, then have them. It's a John Bannon style that I've adopted. And I give full credit to John Bannon in his book, Dear Mr. Fantasy, because it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. So in that regard, I say that simplicity and strive for simplicity and streamlining effects and making them more wonderful. Taking a effect from the 1970s and inundating it with a fresh approach and keeping all the same value and all the same mystery is a wonderful thing. So avoid the baiter of the master techniques, as Bob Dorian would casually say to impressionable 13-year-olds. Paraphrasing. So for section number 5, it would be the criticism will be harsh. It will be extremely harsh. And I actually brought a notepad. I mean, I always have a notepad nowadays, but this is important for my next point. So the Magic Castle criticism will be hard. How harsh, you ask? I've seen full adults, and I consider adults 18 and up, I've seen full adults cry openly and publicly because the criticism will be harsh. Sometimes they've been working on making the criticism better, but Bob Dorian would just say, that fucking sucked. Excuse my language again. I shouldn't have, but like that's the baseline.
During a show?
During the show or after the show. Just to trash you. And it would throw off your entire performance and then you would feel inadequate. And that was at the most polite. Even though I just said something very crude and I apologize for it, it got very, very derogatory from there. And like everyone was very impressionable, so it really, really stung. So what made it sting much less is having a notepad, and it shows your willingness to learn, and maybe their criticism becomes better. This sounds crazy, but their criticism would be better just because you showed your willingness to learn. And even if it was bad, you can filter out the negative stuff by saying, where could I have improved, and writing down, taking notes, and filtering out what they really meant to say so you can improve your performance better or make it better, because it was really harsh. So having a notepad there is important. I should also mention to take a couple days off, because I didn't have the notepad. I didn't know the importance of writing down, being a meticulous note taker. And at the end of it, I threw my cards to the trash, threw everything out, and was on the verge of quitting many, many, many times. And I pushed myself to do it because I just wanted to see what kind of performer I could be. So took my cards out of the trash, filled with rotten... Anyways, I got the cards, and I took the notes, or I remembered as much as I could. Notepad much better. And then I really, with that mindset of improving, I took all the notes in consideration and improved my performance. So having a notepad, you can immediately look at it. Once you've gone on your hiatus break, a week, 2 weeks, whatever time you need, just do it. It's for your mental health, because criticism is not easy to take in, especially if it's not the best criticism. It's not necessarily constructive. It's just wanting to trash on you. Or someone is spiteful against you, even worse. So in that regard, take notes, take a break, then come back to it, and you'll become a better performer just through that alone. So you can be able to do it. And occasionally, this could also apply outside of Magic Castle. I didn't mention this in my original live stream, which had no microphone, so you couldn't even hear it. What's important is that you actually can take this into the real world. So after you do a show and the audience applause maybe isn't to your expectation, or maybe it is, in either case, you can have your notepad on the side, and you can ask an audience member, ask them, how do you think of your show? If there was one thing you saw or I can improve upon, what would it be? And then you honest, with a genuine heart, or I'm blanking as I say this, but with a caring heart, you actually openly ask them how your show can be improved, what their thoughts were, and then if they have any notes, they mention it, write it down, and take it into consideration. And through getting the spectators, the audience's, thoughts on it, you can actually improve your show that way. Half the show, I'll be honest, more than half the show comes from the audience. So that's why I have a bounce back personality, because their energy is my energy. And their thoughts are my thoughts. And their jokes, I steal a lot of their jokes, I'll be honest, and I throw into mine. If a magician got a nickel for every time they said, well, that's great, but how about you make my wife disappear? I've heard that 1,000 times over, and every magician probably has too. And not only that, I internally question the husband's motive. Why would you want to make your wife disappear? Raising eyebrow. Anyway, so there's that. And then finally for this section, Bob hated my hat with a passion. This is the exact hat he hated. So this lecture is kind of dedicated to, rest in peace, Bob Dorian. He hated this hat. He tried so hard, adamantly, to ban hats from the castle because he just thought it wasn't part of the performance. And I think it looks great on me. I would get compliments from everyone in the castle, all the judges, but he just passionately hated it. So there's no point to this other than me venting, not really venting, but just talking about Bob's hatred for hats. And that sometimes you do you. There will always be people who will hate hats or dislike fedoras. There's like a specific thread or meme set for people who dislike fedoras. Those fedora people. I just can't even associate myself with someone who does a fedora. Well, you're just censoring people just for a piece of clothing? Shows the level of depth you have. Goodbye. You would say to that person. So I want to, look past the hat, look at the individual and with the point they're trying to make, and then internalize if that's something you agree with. So I guess there was a point to this.
Of course.
I guess there always is a point to everything in this world. As Master Udway says, there are no accidents. Source from Kung Fu Panda for all you nerds out there. So that is section number 5. And hopping into section number 6, everything must be logical and motivated. Now, I talked about this occasionally, but you want everything to be motivated, so you don't want to just be in your performance and you're like at the step where, oh my gosh, I need to palm a card. Oh, I need to do it right for your audience. So this is where structure and script, I know people hate the word, loathe it. I'll say loathe, that sounds better. Loathe. It sounds so much more positive. Like the word cesspool. I know people don't actually know what it means. Like, you'd be surprised, but 80% of society does not know what the word cesspool means, which is quite sad. It sounds cesspool sounds like such a happy word until you actually look it up and you're like, oh, okay.
Quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite. So loathe sounds like such a happy word.
Soapy and
and the people
luxurious, loathe.
And the people who say it, they say it with such happiness and passion. I loathe you.
Yeah, close to love. I love.
I want to say I love you, but I just keep on coming to the word loathe.
Big difference.
I mean, it's only like kind of a big difference, not too big of a difference. So if people want to look that word up, Loathe. Loathe.
Yes.
Loathe. So to that point, you don't want to just be in that performance and you're like, oh shoot, or I would probably say something more derogatory, I need to palm a card, and your audience is staring and burning your hands and there's no misdirection, you just go for it and they catch onto it. We don't want to be that way. We want it to be better. So to add the logical sense to it, to create a moment for the part, real quick, if I may, Kelly?
Yes,
quick,
please.
Very quick point.
Okay.
So let's say their card was, just say for example, their card was a 2 of diamonds. I'm making it open, okay? So their card was a 2 of diamonds, and we control it however we want, and it would be, yes. I'm trying to remember the step. Okay. I'm making this trick up as we go along.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just doing this as we come along. So it's like a master guitarist. I say continually, a master guitarist is able to literally play any song, like they can hear a song once.
Right, in their head.
And in their head, they can actually pretty much play it tone for tone, everything. Maybe have their own spin on it, jazzing, because they have achieved that mastery. So, similar. That's why I love musicians to death. So, we got the card right here. This is their card, 2 of diamonds.
Okay.
Yay. Okay. So, yay, we found your card. Yay.
Oh,
magical.
How'd you do that?
So amazing. Woo. Hyperbolic sarcasm. So we got it. And I would say, if you can, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed.
Left-handed. Put your finger right on top of your left finger. Or, yeah. I'm like confusing my lefts and my rights. I usually do mirror. So we got that right there. And I want you to focus on it. I don't want you to take your eyes off it even for a second.
Okay.
And I also have a prediction in my pocket, if I may, and actually can go to it. Watch this. All I have to do is give it a wave over the card. Give it a flick. And you notice I'm actually able to steal 2 of diamonds. Now 2 of diamonds over here, then another spectator could name off their card, they name it, and then you could turn over. And then bam. The one happens. 2 of hearts. Wasn't intentional for the 2s, but
no?
you get the point.
It wasn't intentional?
Maybe. I'll say it was now. I'll pretend it was.
Wow. Is my job here done?
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well.
I appreciate it. Everyone give a round of applause to Kelly. Peanut gallery's going wild. The point is, there was a logical motivation for doing the palming, and the misdirection and the structure allowed for the presentation routine, so I could openly get away with it. In the same way, I can do this like a spectator. I could have them pick a card, and I would suggest them memorize it, learn it, love it. Now, mind you, I'm just staring at a camera doing this, so there's no misdirection, but I would look at them saying, you memorize, learn, love it, don't forget about it in any way. As I side steal it, and I can do whatever I want, produce it from a pocket, do whatever, and I have the misdirection there. So creating logical and motivated actions, it could be in just the routine, it could be in your words and presentation to give it logicality. So always try to think of, you don't want an illogical move to be there just to be there, or a logical moment where you're just having to just try to palm in the moment and then try and find misdirection. You want it to be structured in there. So in the case with Kelly, I show a card, we sat down, they put their finger on top, maybe there's selection, I found it, so I want to do something else, put your finger on top, and the logical misdirection, I'm able to now palm with less heat on me or no heat on me, and be able to produce it and make a secondary magical effect out of that, providing logicality and not having to worry about anything. And hey, we got blackjack.
Yeah.
This is not intentional, but
bonus prize.
This just isn't happening.
Earlier too.
This is crazy. I'm just feel like I'm using up all my luck. I don't want to get lucky because I don't want to, you know?
Do you believe in luck?
There is luck. There is. But we don't depend on it. We don't prey upon it. We don't want anything to do with it. It just happens, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
There is a factor of luck to it that you just get, it's just something amazing happens. And we appreciate it. Maybe it's epiphany. Maybe it's a little thank you from someone, if you are, But regardless, that has nothing. It has nothing to do with it. We're not talking about luck. We're having to do with being logical, motivated. I think I covered this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good with that section. Kelly, the amazing, as always. So, for section number 7, it is eliminate flashpoints plus a new idea on angle issues, and it may not be what you think. So, flashpoints. This is a huge part of what the Magic Castle was. It's one of the first, 3 things I'll mention where you were flashing. So once you address the flashing part, then we address the presentation part, and then we address anything personable. Or we remove the ums and ahs. The ums and ahs, flashpoints, and then other. And we just keep them going along that line. It's pretty much the same process over and over. And one of the big points was flashpoints. So you want to practice in the mirror, sure. And when you do it for an audience, you do it. And you want to try to do it for regular audiences regularly before you come to the castle. And when you do it, don't take it too harshly, because it's just, you have to improve your flashpoint. You have to improve your angles. Maybe something's angle sensitive, especially if you're doing the Venus flytrap move that I can't even do correctly. It's so angle sensitive. So sometimes it's better just to change up the moves for the Magic Castle act so you can be able to appreciate everywhere. Because Magic Castle act, for most cases, is 180. Sometimes it might change to being like 230, you know, just being from here and all the way around. But it just helps to be able to be aware of your flashpoints so you don't have to worry. So instead of doing this and being caught of doing this, we can be, say, to shift and being constantly aware of, hey, if I shift to the side, maybe this can be a little bit better. Or maybe you can do it out in the open, and that's even better than that. So like one example, let's say for the spread pass, just as an example, this is on Daryl's DVD, oh my gosh, it was in his Card Slides DVD. There was like 7 DVDs. It's not a sponsorship. I'm just mentioning off. It's Encyclopedia of Card Slides, I think. And one of them was doing this, the move. It would show a card, okay, and then you would do it openly, where you would actually show the spread pass openly instead of hiding it and showing it's closed. Even though it's technically illogical, it was pretty fair. And then you can control the card to the top. 4 spades, I believe it was. Or maybe the 5 spades. So what? Yeah, I believe it was 4 spades. And in that sense, you're actually able to eliminate flashpoints by being open about it. So just finding new ways to configure around your flashpoints. And leaning into that is my second one, which is angle issues. So if a slight or something is restricted to a specific angle, you can alter it, changing the side. So some moves, like for culling, I can't cull up like this because it'd be obvious. So instead, maybe cull down here, or in many cases, I actually turn to the side. And so I look at directly at spectator, and then casually I come to the side and I do the dirty deed. In the same way, I can also be able to, this is a big point they made in Magic Castle. I can't really do in this context, but taking a step back. So if you're ever worried that a slight might be caught on, this was the golden nuggets of the castle, take a step back, and so you improve your angles to the full 180, so you can actually be able to make sure the slight works. So where it may not work before, you take a step back, and now you can be able to worry. You don't want to go inward. This is bad. Going inward like this and being here, you want to be outward. So it's like, which looks better? And I'll make an easy example. Which looks better, here or here? Should be obvious. So in the same way, you can take a step back but still remain outward, and then do the dirty business and then come back, so you can be sure that the audience didn't see a move. You don't make a big deal of it. You just casually lean back and do it, and while look at your spectators, or use casual misdirection as you be aware of your flashpoints and be aware of those, and you improve the performance. Because it seems, it's just, you want a seamless performance. They didn't see anything, nothing was caught, it was good material, you're a good presenter, you're a good magician, everyone loved it, you get a standing ovation, everyone's happy. I would think. So that's my point on that, on flashpoints and how to improve your magical performance. This was one of the gold nuggets. I think it was Bob Dorian who came up with this. Not 100%, but just taking a step back was really made Magic a lot better. And for many performers, they put in their performances, and it became a lot better. There was nothing to catch, because anything that would have been angle sensitive, or they just needed for that particular trick, they don't have to worry about anymore, and they could continue on. So I offer that piece of advice to you. And finally, for point number 8, let me see. Oh no, so before I get to point number 8, there is one more point. The point is running without being chased. So this is something I deal with a lot, and they said I do this a lot. It would be whether to turn the pack. This is a small example, but you do the change and you set the cards down and you do it right here. running without being chased could be as like this versus leaving the pack so they could catch you on, versus actually, turning the pack over. Small little details that really improve the performance. And I get criticism on this, and this is one criticism you can ignore. I ignored them for years because, they say, why are you doing all this extra work? Sometimes it's excessive, and that's understandable. But for what I was doing, the Magic Castle audience, which we're going to get into in the next point, was a dead audience, and they have no relation to how the actual spectators react. And I have more experience than a lot of people on this and how they react, because I'm very free-flowing, I'm casual, I'm open, I'm vulnerable. I'm very vulnerable in my shows. I allow things and mistakes and stuff to happen, but I work through the mistakes, and it becomes a great, even better show because I make myself vulnerable. And they go, why do you run without being chased? Why do you do all this excessive work? Because spectators actually do that. Spectators may be hecklers. Like 1 out of every 2 or 3 shows I do, there is a heckler in there who wants to call me out. And rather than just letting them be or shutting them down, I do something unique. I involve them in my show. I set them right there. And because the critics are actually your biggest fans, believe it or not. They're bigger fans than the whole audience, because they actually want to believe in magic. They're just giving you all the reasons that they think it couldn't happen. And if you remove all those reasons and you work with them and you make the effect work, assuming you don't use gas because you allow for more freedom, you actually allow for the possibility of eliminating all their concerns, and then what excuse do they have left? Except it's magic. And I think it's just so valuable that if you can ignore the fact that you're running without being chased, that's what I ignore. But sometimes taking the extra precautions, allowing the spectator to be more involved, you actually make your show a lot better. So it sounds ironic that I'm actually telling you to ignore a point at the castle, but this is a point that we continue to bring up at the castle. And if it's not excessive and you notice an actual performance that happens, then do it. I'm actually the rebel who actually added rules to the Magic Castle, because I'm quite rebellious, believe it or not. So actually go against that rule and be yourself in that context. So on to point number 8. And on to point number 8 is Magic Castle audience is the worst audience you'll ever perform for, and Magic Bingo with juniors. You're gonna actually like that last one. So Magic audience, why are they so bad? They are literally the worst. And I mentioned they're the worst. And they are going to be the worst. Because when you do your tricks, there is no applause. There is no excitement. There is no bounce back energy. There is nothing to go off of except a dead audience staring at you and just watching you do your thing. Even London people have more respect. They go, very good. Very good. Maybe they caught something, but they're respectful and they do the little clap. No, at the end, just watch. Keep going. Keep going. We're waiting.
Why do you think that is? Sorry.
No. Yeah, I love interludes.
Why do you think that is? Because they go to the Magic Castle and it's to be expected?
I mean, these are... Sorry, I would say Magic Castle audience with context. It's magicians, I mean. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. Right. Not the Magic Castle audiences. No, they're great. They're great.
Okay.
Sorry, I may have messed up. Magic Castle magician audiences.
Got it.
Yeah, they are the worst.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
I was confused. Okay.
No, I also want to apologize for the camera, because I don't want someone to clip this and say Magic Castle audiences are the worst.
Okay. That's why I was just clarifying.
Yeah. I clarified this in the full video. So Magic Castle audiences, they're great, but they also want to be polite. And I will say you don't get the true reactions usually out of this audience. So excuse the change of scenery and everything. The last segment was not recorded, or it just didn't get recorded, so it got skipped out. So I was just going to say, continuing off where I left off, the Magic Castle audiences are just the normal Magic Castle audiences, not the magician side. The normal audiences are just very polite, so you don't get those usual insane reactions like on the street you would get with David Blaine or stuff like that, because it's for a lot of people it's very nerve-wracking. People it's a new experience for them. Again, the same rule applies. People only the average person usually only sees magic twice in their lifetimes, if that. So they don't know how to react and everything, be polite, and they're just going with the crowd. So if the crowd doesn't applaud, they know probably not to applaud, or they're not encouraged to applaud, and all that stuff. But in the street, they're just able to be on their own. People are able to be more isolated and act however they want. which is why some people prefer to do street magic, and I totally get that. That isn't to say there can be great reactions through close-up. It just has to be choreographed a bit better to allow for those moments of appreciation for both the musician and the audience to be able to be thankful. Because the audience wants to give their thanks for you giving wonderful performance, and the magician wants to feel appreciated. You know, it's normal in certain cases and contexts where it's not overly just overly prideful, where, you know, the magician wants to know that he's doing a good job and the audience can appreciate the good work he puts in that feedback, positive feedback loop. And then finally, going to the final section, or the final other part of it, was the magic bingo. And this is only happened for a time, only happened maybe when I was there, maybe 2 to 3 years. I'm a former a member of the castle, so I think I could speak about this. Please, Magic Castle, don't kill me for being honest. This was just a little fun little story, a little side segment, because I wanted to be true to the experiences of the castle. But I will be polite about it. So one thing in the Magic Castle Junior program was, this was an underground thing. Again, it only happened 2 or 3 times, but there was to give context, when you have the Magic Castle auditions would be held twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, and during those times there would be like all the children lining up. It would be like, you know, anywhere from 50 to 150 people applying, and there would be the parents being there, and it was a big, you know, nervous-wracking experience where I remember myself doing it. Like, there would be kids who would be this nervous, like shaking like this vibrantly, just trying to keep their composure, because it's nerve-wracking to do an audition, put 6 months of hard work into a little 5-minute performance and be judged off that by 3 judges. It's quite scary. I remember it very, very fondly, especially since it took me twice to get in. And so us magicians, you know, putting ourselves to such a high scale of, you know, making to the castle and then going to brunch and Future Stars, there's all this pressure to go all the way to the top. And with all this pressure, well, crazy stuff always happens. So, hence the Magic Castle Bingo. It's a way to depressure ourselves and just relax, let's say. So it was just, so by some, I don't know who started the whole thing. It was by some astute observer that everyone noticed, and it's been like this for years. This is whether it's Magic Castle Bingo or not. It's been an observational thing where a lot of the kids either do the most modern routines. I just picked this off Illusionist or Theory 11. I thought it'd work. Well, there's a bunch of other kids who thought that. So there would be this little bingo sheet with the latest like Illusionist, Theory 11 routines on the little bingos. It would have all of them matched up. And then it would be the classics like ACR, which stands for Ambitious Card Routine, cups and balls, sponge balls, and stuff of that nature, and be going along. So as the audience, as we were critiquing the performances, and occasionally magicians would be very impressed because, wow, they really pulled it off. They did a really good job, or whatever. And then, you know, you'd slowly put it together. And the sheets would be passed around. I shall put myself in that pool. I did it 1 year, I believe. But it was because I was an impressionable teenager. I didn't really know what was going on. And I just wanted to be a part of something and be involved because, you know, peer pressure. Don't blame me. And so I think Bob actually, I'm not sure, the juniors can confirm this, but I think Bob was playing it too. I'm pretty sure he was. And like, he had his professional notepad, and underneath, whenever he lifted it up, I believe, I'm almost 100% certain, he would lift it up and start playing bingo. The worst part of it all was 1 year that we were playing bingo, and some kid was in the middle of audition doing his routine. He started off, and then someone shouts, "Bingo! Bingo!" Imagine that, and then everyone's looking at him. Oh, sorry. Bob Jordan's giving this scolding look. He's like, "What you doing here? Doing that?" And I mean, there were no real prizes. You just did it for, you know, prideful ego, saying, "I was the first to do in bingo." But that was the story, just mostly because, again, it was a lot of pressure. The Magic Castle Junior program is one of the most prestigious programs in the world, and there's a lot of pressure to be really, really good. Or maybe you're naturally talented. But in the case that you just wanted to let loose or just relax. This was a little casual game. Assuming you didn't shout out bingo and ruin it all, it was just a little fun way to let the time pass by, because the Magic Castle auditions were honestly long, and I'm surprised Bob, Dorian, Diana, and I believe it was Jamie, the 3 judges, I'm surprised they were able to hold out for that long, because it was like 5 to 10, sometimes it was 5 to 10 hours of auditions back to back, and sometimes they had to take breaks, but just like 5 to 10 hours of just watching performers, and you having to judge and critique and actually write it out, so they mail out the letters. It was very harsh. And I should also mention, just this is a bonus thing I didn't include in the original recording. In the olden days, the Magic Castle olden days, I call it David Blaine Golden Era, there was only about like a 3 to 4% acceptance rate. There'd be like 120 people auditioning, and only 3 or 4 made it in. So think about that kind of pressure. That's what we're talking about. Nowadays, or in the more modern days, like past, I'd say 2010 onwards, they relaxed the acceptance rate to like 30%, which is pretty cool. But imagine 3 to 4%, like it would be 100 people audition, and only 3 close-up performers and 1 stage performer would make it in. So that's the Magic Castle Junior program for you, and that is the bingo story. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope everyone enjoyed this whole lecture. And to close, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone for simply spending some time with me. As always, like and subscribe, and in the comment section mention upcoming close-up content you would like to see, because through you helping me, I can put out that content, and me helping you. See this feedback loop? It's kind of nice. Or if you're over 21 and you're a reefer person with a good joke. You can support the Academy directly through Patreon, link is in the description for that, and others like my mailing list, Discord, merch store, want to jam with me live on the show. Finally, if you're a Magic Company, Kodiak Cakes, or Huel and want to get in touch with me, link is in the description for that. And as I love, honestly, I'd love to feature you as a sponsor as well on the show. And as I love to say to everyone, stay tuned and stay magical.